Okay, looks like we've reached the top of the hour, so it's time to get started. Welcome to the May instalment of our Customer Success webinar series, and as the title more than just suggests, that Dave and I are going to be sharing with you some of the top tips from the Meetoo team, as well as some that have been suggested by you guys, our customers. So, as always, we're going to be using Meetoo for the session, and so we're going to be asking you some polls and asking you for some feedback, so please make sure that you connect to Meetoo, either via the native app on iOS or Android app stores, or go to the web app, which is web.meetoo.io, and our meeting ID for the session is 165301593. As you can imagine, we've got lots and lots of Meetoo tips that we'd love to share with you, but we're just going to be looking at 10 during this session. But I can assure you that Dave and I will be coming back to you in a future webinar and videos with a few more of those tips. So we'd like to kick off with a quick poll just to find out how long you've been using Meetoo for. So have you not used it yet? Have you started using it in the past few days? Have you been using it for just a matter of weeks, months, less than a year, or more than a year? And this is going to be really useful for us to see the level of experience across our participants on the webinar today, but it's also an unofficial bonus tip, if you could call it that, as it is really, really important to make sure that everybody is comfortable using the technology. So a warm-up or introduction question or use of the technology is a really quick and easy way to do that, whether it's a live session or a virtual one like this. Okay, looks like we've got some results in there, Dave, so if we take the poll.
And just before we look at those results, talk about those results, there's actually two bonus tips there, Dermot, because I opened the poll straight away. So for anyone who watched Ben's teaser, opening your poll straight away.
There we go, yeah, two bonus tips.
Two bonus.
Okay, so really good to see that we've got a good spread of experience here. That hopefully means that those of you at the top end of that will learn quite a lot from today. Hopefully everyone will learn quite a lot from today, but I'll be looking to some of the people that have been using it for a longer time to share their tips on the messaging board as we go through the session today. So without further ado, I think I'll hand over to Dave to kick off the 10 tips.
Thank you very much, Dermot. Okay, so first up, it's me. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm the training manager here at Meetoo and have a hand in most of our instructional videos and resources. I also have the privilege of running many a webinar with my co-host here, Dermot. Now, I say those results are great, the varied level of experience, and the following 10 tips are in no particular order. But certainly with the first one, we're going to start off nice and slow, nice and simple. So our first tip is bookmark your Meetoo account login page. You'd be amazed at how many people contact us, phone or email, having forgotten their URL or web link to their Meetoo account. It's unique. You chose it when you signed up, but without it, you're obviously not going to get very far. They may have signed up a while ago or just kind of typed it in incorrectly, or just forgotten that link. In any event, bookmarking it, very simple, very quick. And I suppose it's a disposable sort of one-off tip, do once and that's it. But whether it's a star icon or a little kind of bookmark tag, or something similar, most of the browsers these days give you the ability to sort of save or bookmark or favorite a web page. So next time you're in your Meetoo account, if you haven't already bookmarked that page, and even, an added little bonus, if I just take something like Gmail accounts and Google Chrome as an example, if you bookmark your page, when you sort of move over to a tablet, you transfer your bookmarks across. So, very simple start, very effective, very quick and easy. Number 2, this is Matt. Matt's your Meetoo product manager. He's the guy that listens to all of your ideas and suggestions, and he's also the guy that makes sure that Meetoo is constantly evolving with all these cool new features. When I asked Matt for his top Meetoo tip, he looked at me a bit bluntly, as Matt likes to do, and simply said, the meeting ID. Okay, thanks Matt, I think we can use that. So tip number 2 is a little bit of a mix, this one, the meeting ID, or as I prefer, something, the meeting ID. Okay, so I suppose, this one really starts with understanding what the Meetoo ID is. I know it seems obvious to, people who use it regularly, but, do your participants get that they need an app and that they need to enter in this 9-digit ID. I mean, that's the first sort of part to this tip. After that, it's really just about, shouting about it. So, share the ID with your participants ahead of your session. Were you aware that there's an invite button in the dashboard? It creates a pre-scripted, templated email with all the necessary details and that meeting ID. So you can send that off to your participants. So, whether through emails, signs in the meeting room, instructions on the table, or even something up on a screen when people walk in. Promote, advertise that ID ahead of your session. It's a great way of boosting adoption rates. And this tip, just to bear in mind, it can vary a little depending on your audience and their experience of Meetoo. So it's not just making sure that they've got the meeting ID, but really making sure that they know what to do with it. So good tip, and I know we've got a couple more coming up that kind of link to some of these points. Number 3, say hello to Robin. He's our support manager, and he's based out in our office in Finland, which is actually where a large chunk of the Meetoo team are based. As you can imagine, in support, he's dealt with more than his fair share of customers sort of pressing that panic button and getting in touch. So really keen to see what his tip was going to be. Now, I know I can be a little bit OCD, but this is a personal favourite of mine. Use a checklist. We've mentioned this in previous webinars, and we've even shared a checklist or two in our resources online. But, no matter how experienced you are, it always helps to have something like a checklist to ensure that no stone's left unturned and really that you don't forget to do something. It can be a simple 3 or 4 bullets, comprehensive list, spanning over a page or two. Use the checklist. It's the best way to ensure that everything runs smoothly. It's the best way to ensure that you don't make any honest, simple mistakes. Whether it's forgetting to start the meeting, forgetting to publish a customized info screen, or even not connecting your PowerPoint add-in. These are just some of the many examples we hear that sort of people get in a bit of a stress about, and it could have been easily avoided with a simple checklist or just a couple of reminders. Dermott and I use a variety of different checklists depending on the type of meeting or event. And I say, whether it's just a simple note to remember to send out a welcome host message, or even something down to making sure you've got a glass of water. I tend to talk a lot. You can be as detailed as you want to. So, amend one of ours, build your own, customize it. It's not meant to be a chore. It's just a great way of reducing human error or any avoidable blunders. Number 4. Right. This is Amy. She's one of our customer success managers, and well, if you're part of an educational institution, then chances are she's one of your best friends already. Her top Meetoo tip: use host messages and the info screen to encourage. It's desperately quick and easy, super simple, super effective, but the info screen and the host message, they're a great way of encouraging even more people to join in. So, whether it's some simple instructions on the info screen or a reminder in the form of a host message, and we've just got an example on the screen here, please submit any questions and comments throughout. Please go to the messaging to take part, and even better, do both. And not to forget, with the host message, the beauty of it here is really that you could send another one out halfway through your meeting, just to give it another little boost, another little nudge. We'd always advise presenters and facilitators to verbally encourage use of Meetoo, as eloquently demonstrated by Dermott earlier. But why not cover more bases and add a couple of pointers in the app too? So, and a real key benefit to this is that it's something that you can do beforehand. You can pre-prepare your info screen and even send out your host message, the day before the meeting. Number 5. So, sad part of the webinar now, because it's my last tip before handing over. So, this is Charlotte, known to us all here as Charlie. She's another one of our customer success managers and spends an awful lot of her time on the phone in direct contact with our customers. So, number 5, it's not the most technical of tips, but when we asked her for her top tip, she didn't hesitate. And if I'm allowed to, it's another favourite of mine, the Meetoo YouTube channel. So for anyone not aware, we've got our own YouTube channel with tons of video resources. It's available to everyone, completely in the public. There's how-to guides, there's features explained, several different playlists, and even all of our webinar recordings. We'll share the link with you shortly through the app, but it couldn't be easier. Just head on over to YouTube and search for Meetoo. I say Charlie spends a lot of her time on the phone with customers, and she's always pointing people and promoting to the channel and promoting the channel. We'll remind you a little later, but the best thing you can do is subscribe to the channel. Press that red button. You'll get a little notification whenever we add a new video. It's not that often. You're not going to get harassed with emails. If all you used it for was to catch up on our regular, what's new webinars, you'll always just be up to date with the great new features. So great tip there, number 5. Now, that is it from me. But before I do hand over to Dermott, I believe I'm just going to get you to get your phones out and tell me. I'll open the poll straight away. What's your favourite tip so far? Is it, I say, nice and simple for you first timers, bookmark your login page? Is it the everything around the meeting ID, understanding it, promoting it? Is it something like using a checklist? Amy's tip to use the host message and the info screen to add some content there to encourage people to use Meetoo more? Or is it nice and simple, all the great resources we've got on the YouTube channel? So plenty of responses in there. We shall close that poll. And let's take a look. Ooh, Meetoo YouTube channel.
And poor Matt.
Well, he's not here. Okay, great. No, thank you guys. That's great. And I think it's at that point that I hand over to Dermott.
Hope your head doesn't get too big, Dave, with the YouTube channel being up there. But thanks, Charlie, for that tip. Okay, thanks very much, Dave, for all of those. Moving on to number 6, and this one is actually from me. And my tip is all about instruction slides. This leads on a little bit from Matt's tip about the meeting ID, but it's just a bit more than that, really. It's really important to give clear and simple instructions to your participants for the whole process of downloading and accessing the app. Now, this might be, something like a slide on screen as your attendees enter the session, or before specific points in your session where you're going to be using the app, or better still, both. Now, many of our Meetoo customers also like to show this slide in advance of their session starting, so that might be through digital signage if available, or even printing it or having it on posters and flyers. It might seem a bit simple, but you really don't want to give your participants any excuse to not use the app. Some of you will also know that the Meetoo PowerPoint add-in actually has a built-in instruction slide generator, little button that says instruction slide, which is so clever it even populates that particular slide with your meeting ID for your session if you're connected to it. So this will mean that your instructions also follow your slide template. But it's not just about accessing the app. It's also about some encouragement. So it also links through to Amy's tip quite well as well. Okay, on to tip number 7, and this is from Pete Eyre, who is our CMO here at Meetoo, and so he uses Meetoo quite a lot for external presentations, but he also hosts our monthly town hall meetings, which is an all-hands session. And his tip actually relates to the Meetoo projector display that's built into the dashboard, which actually, due to the PowerPoint add-in that we're using today, it often gets forgotten about. But the projector is, it's a really useful way of displaying Meetoo results and content, and it's totally dynamic. And so, one example is you can have all the messaging content appear up there, and it's sorted by likes, and as I say, dynamically. So as those likes come in, it updates for you. And actually coming soon to the projector will be a word cloud generator for the open text poll question. Now, for those of you that don't know, the projector is web-based, so it can be accessed on any browser on any device. And which really allows you to use it on multiple or remote devices. And the way we've seen it used particularly well, I think, was during conferences where actually the messaging content can be relayed and displayed on lots of screens around the venue. A little bit like a Twitter display, but without that loss of control and sharing all your content around the globe.
It's just a really, really versatile tool.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to number 8, and this is Sophie. She's our marketing automation manager. Sophie's actually quite new to the team, so it was really interesting to get her perspective on tips. And hers is a really great one, actually, and it's quite simple, but it's one that is actually so important that we implement it during every live session and webinar that we host. And that's actually to include the Meetoo web app URL on every slide. So you can see that we've got it in the corner of the slide there. Now, one of the great things about the web app for Meetoo is that you can actually append that 9-digit meeting ID. So again, linking back to Matt's tip, which means that anybody that goes to that URL will actually be jumped straight into the meeting without actually having to type in the code. This means that any latecomers or those that chose not to participate initially have the information that they need to join in at any point. And as a little extension of this tip, I was actually talking to Chris Elmett from Crystal Interactive Meetings the other day, and he made a great point that actually potentially makes this a more impactful tip. And that's to actually have that link appear a few slides before you're going to use the Meetoo app for a poll or any other particular action. You could even add some text like "get ready to vote." So actually once that appears, it will jog people to actually get their app ready and start using it. Okay, number 9. So this next tip comes from, possibly one of the most innovative users of Meetoo and a regular webinar attendee. He might even be on this morning, I'm not sure. And that's Adam Warren from the University of Southampton. And his tip is to build in pause points. I think it's probably only fair that I actually read out Adam's tip in his own words to make sure I don't get it wrong. But this tip is for academics who worry about having to continually monitor questions and comments from students during the lecture. So have 2 or 3 points during the lecture where you pause, invite students to review the questions and comments already posted, and either like ones that they agree with or add new ones if necessary. The tutor also reviews them and can respond as required. They may give answers immediately, or they might post them online after the lecture, possibly as a short video or a podcast. Now obviously Adam's specifically referred to lectures and students here, but I definitely think that this is a tip that's applicable to many types of sessions,
Absolutely.
meetings or events. And it'll make sure that you don't lose any of that valuable content that your participants have actually submitted. Actually, Adam presented a really excellent webinar for Meetoo a few months back, which I'd advise anybody to watch if you haven't done already, and that's available on our YouTube channel. Okay, last but by no means least, tip number 10 is from Kim at Crystal Interactive Meetings. And she looks after a vast number of Meetoo meetings every year and has a really useful tip regarding the info screen. Possibly one of my favourites, more so maybe even than my own actually. But what you will have seen when you joined the meeting today is that Dave has customised the app for this webinar with a graphic and added a title, a subtitle and some body text on the info screen. However, Kim's tip is to experiment with just using an image and actually adding some text or other information straight into the graphic. You can really, as you can see on our examples here, you can create some really interesting results by using tall images that fill the entire info screen and give the effect of a poster. So you can see by the big example there. And then there's a couple of other good examples where Dave's done one where he's added a floor plan and we've got a speaker bio.
Yeah, I think I changed my mind actually. This is my favourite. People ask about this when they see it. So just kind of to repeat really what Dermott said, the examples you're looking at on the left there, the text is in the image. And the other thing to point out with this one is you don't need a kind of degree in Photoshop. You can do this in Paint. You can do this in PowerPoint, and then just kind of take a screen grab and use that. So yeah, really, really, really effective and great way. And looking at Amy's tip as well, encouraging people to use the app there on the left.
Yeah, good combo there. So my advice on this one would be to experiment with different techniques to achieve your desired effect. But please let us know if you come up with any really good ideas. Fire through any examples. We'd love to see them all. Okay, so those are our top Meetoo tips from the Meetoo team and customers. So I think it's only fair that we try and find out what one you like the most. So if we open that poll, Dave, is it Dave's bookmarking of the account login page? Is it Matt's one about the meeting ID? Robin's checklist tip? Amy's one about using host messages and the info screen to encourage? Charlie's tip about using the Meetoo YouTube channel for all the resources there. My instruction slide one. Pete's tip about not forgetting about the Meetoo projector display. Sophie's tip about the web link on every slide. Adam's good one here about the pause points to make sure you cover off all your content that's come in. And then Kim's one, which is our personal favourite, which is about using text and other techniques in the info screen graphic.
And we're not allowed to vote here. So
no, we're not voting.
No.
We're not voting.
Hands off.
Okay, so if we close that off, Dave, and we'll see who I have to buy a beer for. Oh wow, we've got quite a good split there, but it looks
It's Sophie.
like it's Sophie. Excellent stuff. Well done, Sophie. So prize coming your way now. Thank you all very much for responding to that one.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, so we'd obviously love to get your tips. Thanks, Dave, for using Meetoo. So you've seen some of ours, but we're really keen to get your ones through. So please fire them into the chat board, and of course, like the ones that you think are particularly good from other people. And we'll come back to those in a moment. But I know Dave wants to talk about a couple of other resources.
Yeah. So just while you're thinking about your top tips, just another update. We've brought this up at other webinars. To update you about the regular webinars. So, the day after we update the product, we always Dermot and I do a short What's New and What's Next webinar. We show you what's new and how to use it. And then it's kind of webinar Tuesdays. So every Tuesday we've got a short jump starter session, the kind of bit of a quick start to the PowerPoint add-in. And we're pleased to report that we're wrapping today's session up. And we're going to be doing that every Tuesday. So, the times alternate depending on the week, but I think Dermot will be sending out some links. I know we put the recordings on YouTube, but, if you've got colleagues that are sharing an account with you, people who couldn't make it, or even if you, perhaps joined in late today and missed the first half, then do be aware that we run these webinars. Now, staying on this topic of regular webinars, now today's webinar was born out of a poll that we asked you what to do next. And you chose hints and tips. So we've cut those options out now that we've delivered them, and I'll just open that poll. Which one, so just choose one of the following webinar topics are you most interested in? Now, if it's something else, tap it in the board once we've closed this poll. But, are you interested in something about messaging, advanced use of messaging, polling, message moderation, more about the PowerPoint add-in, advanced use of the PowerPoint add-in, and you just saw it with our top tip poll, picture polling. So a few topics there. What would you like to see us offer up as our next regular recurring webinar? Right, we'll close that down. Thank you.
Okay.
Advanced use of the PowerPoint add-in. Excellent. Okay.
Look forward to that.
Well, and two clear winners really with PowerPoint and Advanced PowerPoint. So, thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.
Quick check of our clocks.
Yeah. Okay. What we'll do just before we actually open this this evaluation poll is we just want to go through some of the points that you guys have put into the messaging board. So one from Robert: can you choose your own meeting ID? And would you recommend native or web? So,
well, nice and simple. No, you are not able to choose a meeting ID. It's unique. It's randomly generated, and I don't think they're recycled either. So it's always different.
Yeah. Native or web? Really good question. That's why we provide both, so that you can choose. If you're doing, let's say it's a pharmaceutical congress, and you've just got a load of people and you don't know who they are, and they're just going to arrive into a room, then the web app is the way forward. It's zero barrier to entry. You just put the URL up on screen, and people can actually access the meeting straight away. So that's that. But the native app, if your participants regularly use Meetoo, it's a great way to give people an easy option to use it. It becomes very familiar, and it sits on a device. They can go back into old meetings if you're reusing meetings as well.
I mean, there's pros and cons to both, as Dermot sort of alluded to there. But I mean, the key one really with the web app is your BlackBerries, your Windows phones, so anything that's not Android or iOS. Your desktop PC, your Mac, the web app. So yeah. Tough question.
so both. What's the best way of getting the audience comfortable in using Meetoo? So thanks, Michael. Really good question. I think we kind of touched on that, but it's definitely about a strong introduction, and that basically getting people onto the app first of all, but then the encouragement. Really give them a good reason to want to use it. A lot of session technology, meeting technology, lecture technology is perceived as being for the lecturer or the presenter or the company that's hosting the session. Actually, you want to describe to your participants what the benefit is to them. So it's about taking part. It's about having the option to ask a question of the people up on stage or the company, or to get some feedback on something in a lecture if they need some further clarification. And then also for the polling to actually have their say on things.
And with the
as
messaging,
well.
I mean, if people have submitted questions and messages, like Adam's pause points, put some time in, address them. It'll encourage people even more. Okay, my feedback matters, my opinion counts, and this works. So
Dwight's got a good question. It's similar to the one that we had from Robert there. Can you use the same meeting several times, or does that overwrite the data from previous meetings?
Now that is an interesting question, because that almost, I think that came up as a tip that one of our customers submitted, sort of recycling the meeting. And you can reuse the same meeting, and we do. We have weekly internal meetings, and because everyone's got it on their phone, they just bring up that meeting history and go straight in. You just need to be aware that your attendance list is across all of those meetings, and I think, as you've picked up on, it doesn't overwrite any data. No polls are lost. But if you recycle that meeting 10 times, running 10 polls at every meeting, you've got one report with 100 polls in. So it's really just about the analytics or any kind of data tracking that you're going to do. But in the right situation, recycling the meeting is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, and you can you can certainly export all your data. So run the report off, save the PowerPoint slides if you're using a PowerPoint add-in, and then clear all that data and reuse it. So that's certainly one way you can do it, and it means you don't clog up your report. The one thing I would say, and Dave touched on it, is that if you've promoted that meeting ID to people, they've attended a session, they will, certainly if they've used the native app, they will still have access to that meeting ID and they can go into the meeting. So, just be aware that anybody that's previously had that ID could jump into that session whilst you're potentially rerunning it, and that may not be appropriate. But that's entirely up for you.
And also, just because it's a kind of important one, if you are going to recycle your meeting, I say no polls are overwritten, but if you do have sort of 10 pre-programmed polls, when you clear that data, it will clear the poll results, and as Dermott said, get them from the report, but it leaves the polls there. So that's actually quite useful. So you can clear the data, get the report, clear the data, and your polls will still be there, ready to run.
Okay, so I think Dwight's just confirmed his point there. But okay, thanks very much. We haven't had a huge number of tips from people, so if you just want to put in your tips at any point, we'll leave this session open for a while. But what I'd like to do now is, as we always do, we ask for your feedback on these sessions. It's really, really important to us. We're always striving to make them better, so that you guys keep coming and we get more people to come. So please let us know what you thought of this webinar. Was it a total waste of your time all the way through to extremely valuable? I think we're sparing our blushes on this one, as we usually do, Dave.
We usually do.
So we're going to hide the results, but we will be looking back at it afterwards. And I don't want to dwell on this one too much, Dave. So if we just close the poll off there, looks like we've dried up on some of the results there. So thanks very much. And then just moving on, if you've got any. Excuse me. If you've got any things you'd like us to present webinars on, if you've got any other feedback about how we could improve these, please drop them into the feedback into the message board, and we will certainly take those on board going forwards. Okay, so one last thing, please leave us a Trustpilot review. Meetoo strives on getting your feedback. And we love it when people actually leave us a review for other customers to see and spread the good word of Meetoo out there. And then also, we keep harping back to it, but subscribe to the YouTube channel. I've popped the link to Trustpilot and YouTube into the feed there on a host message. Please go to that channel. It's obviously come out as quite a popular result, so go and have a look over there. Okay, I think we are.
I do believe that's it.
All out of time, but thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you,
As
everyone.
we said, we'll keep the channel open here so you can keep sending in your tips, and we look forward to seeing you on the next session. Thanks very much. Bye bye.